All right. So this is 10:05 by my time, so that we don't delay everyone on the call, so we can just start the session. Good morning, everyone. Kindly confirm if you can hear me in the chat. Can we hear me? Good morning. How are we doing today? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? I want us to put in the chat, or if you can also unmute and talk, just to hear from us before we start the session. Can we hear me clearly? No one is saying anything. I hope I'm
I
not
can hear
talking to
you. I can hear
myself.
you. I
All
can hear
right,
you.
all
Thank you
right,
for having me here.
all right. Thank you, data guy. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. All right. Okay, another person, you can drop in the chat if where your high is noisy.
Hello,
Yeah, you can also.
can you hear me? Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I'm
okay. Oh,
thank
okay.
thank you.
All, all right. Thank you, Paul, for that. Okay. All right, since I've heard from two people, so we are all here to learn. So, and then this is our August meetup. So we'll be looking at different things regarding fabric. Yeah, so this is Fabric Community Nigeria. So, and I also have a community where we learn all about fabric, answer question, ask question, and also give answer if you know. So and then we also have our monthly meetup, which usually coming up usually is coming up on every third Saturday of the month. But because of what happened this month, so that's why we are doing it this time around. That today is the fourth Saturday of the month, but it's fine. We are all here to learn. So we have our own very own self. That's Faloron Shaw Ajala. So he'll be the one handling today's session for us. So we will walk us through is the project he worked on, I think some weeks ago, and then we also learned some other things with that's regarding shortcuts, data flow, data pipeline, and the like. So, and I believe is here to pass the knowledge to us. And so, if there's any area you're not clear about when following show is probably doing something, you can always drop in the chats, and then when it's time for question and answer, you would give answer to that. So, hi, following show. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, good morning, Pauline. Yeah, thank you for
Back
that.
to you.
Good morning, everyone. I believe you can hear me. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Idris. Good morning, Ibrahim, Esther, Messi, Temitope, Data Guy. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can Okay, hear you. please. Okay, so this is not a lecture room, so we have to. I'm not a lecturer, so we have to communicate. Yeah, I like feedback from participants a lot. So it's not just that we'll just sit behind the screen and so this let's talk. It's going to be a kind of interaction anyway. So I know that some of us here we are not beginners. This is not the first time, you know, um yeah, this is not the first time, so it's going to be a kind of interaction as well. So we ask questions. If you have any questions on what I'm doing, you are not clear, you can always drop the questions and I will pick it up. Okay, so before I go on, so can I want to get a feedback. If this is your first time, like this is your very first time you are coming to fabric section, um you don't even have access to fabric before, or maybe you have not even heard of fabric before. This is your first time you are hearing of fabric and you want to know what fabric is all about. Can you raise your hand up if this is your very first time, or just reaction, thumb up? Ibrahim, Raji, okay, Amotayo, okay. Another person, if this is your first time, you are hearing about fabric, or this is the first time you are joining the fabric section. Okay, so we have just two people. Okay, that's good. It's fine. So thank you very much, Raji and Ola. Ola, can you just put down your hand? Yeah, just put down your hand. Okay, so it's fine. So that means that we are not going to go to the advanced level too much because we have people. I know some people are still joining the section, and so we have people from that this is their very first time. So we have to take it from the scratch as well. Okay, so I will share my screen, and before I go on to share my screen, for the project that we are going to be looking at today, I would first say appreciation to my colleague. I think one of them joined Musili. We work on this project together, and also Debola as well. So they are also in the community as well. So when it comes to project collaboration, you don't have to do it all alone. You can have a group of people within the community that you guys share the same goals and do projects together. And I believe that in years to come, right? In years to come, you'll be hearing people saying that they need 5 years experience of someone that has fabric experience, 2 years experience, 10 years experience. So you don't necessarily need to work in a company and start, maybe you are working in the fabric environment. You can leverage the practice, whatever you can practice now, you can leverage it as and use it as your project documentation, that whenever maybe in 2 years time, or even can even be this year, that someone, okay, have you done any fabric project before, you can always showcase your project. So thanks to my friends Musili and Debola for collaborating and for. Yeah. Okay. So today we'll be looking at the end-to-end project that I did some weeks ago, and I'm going to walk us through what the project is all about, how we go about the project, and how we're able to use Microsoft, to leverage on Microsoft Fabric. So if you can see my screen, can you thumb up? Sorry, I can't see your screen. I can't see some reaction now, but please, if you can hear me, if you can see my screen, can you say yes, 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 so that I will know that we can all see my
Yes,
screen.
we can see your screen. We can see your screen.
Right. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. So so let's start from what is Microsoft Fabric for people that are new to the environment. You have not heard of Fabric before. So Microsoft Fabric is a platform that unified everything around data science, data engineer, data analyst, business intelligence analyst. So what Microsoft is saying is that all the standalone tools that you are using, like Power BI, like SSMS, which is your SQL Server, maybe like your Python, which is your, when you are writing your Apache Spark, you are writing all those your, machine learning, you are doing it, in your different zone or in your different standalone tools. So what Microsoft is saying is that let's try to bring all these tools on a single platform and let's work together. So the essence of Microsoft Fabric is for collaboration. It is not as if it is something new entirely. If you know Power BI before, it is fine. You can use Fabric. If you know, maybe you're a data engineer, you know how to write Apache Spark, Notebook, you can write into Notebook and all, or you're a data scientist, you know how to use machine learning and all. You can also come to Fabric environment to come and implement to come and carry out your tasks on the Fabric environment. So Fabric is just a unified place where you can collaborate as a team. You understand? So I hope people that are new to the Fabric environment. Do you understand what Fabric is all about now? Can I get a feedback from Raji and Ola? I think those are the two guys that said they are new. So do you guys understand what Fabric is all about now?
Yeah, thank you very much for that simple explanation. I think that explains it all. It's well understood. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So like
hello,
I said,
sorry.
okay.
I
Okay.
want,
Go on.
please, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah. Please go on.
So, like, now I've been hearing about fabric. This is not my first time. So I want to ask,
Okay.
is it
Okay.
compulsory for you to like know Python? Because honestly, I only have little knowledge of Python. I'm not really a Python person. So where
Okay.
I work as a business intelligence guy, like Power BI guy.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm saying, can I still go ahead and learn it. Even like can someone that doesn't have any idea in Python learn it or machine learning. And someone still learn like a newbie in Python and machine learning. I don't have any knowledge about that. But can I still go ahead and figure my way out around Fabric?
Okay, yeah, okay. So that's a nice question. I'm also a data analyst or business intelligence analyst, like they call it. So I don't know Python as well. So like I said, Microsoft Fabric is not whether you know Python or whether you don't know Python. If you are a data analyst, you can just do your own bit of work on Microsoft Fabric. If you're a data engineer, some data engineer does not know Power BI. It is not all the data engineer that know Power BI. Some data engineer, what they just know is to use, Python, Apache Spark, SQL, and they do whatever they want to do. They don't know Power BI. So if you are a data person, you are a data analyst, focus on your work. You understand? If you are a data scientist, whether you don't know Power BI as well, but you can use machine learning, focus on your bit of the work on the Fabric environment. So the Fabric is just, a platform where anybody, whether you're a data scientist, you're a data analyst, data engineer, you are analytical engineer. There's also a analytical engineer there too. So what analytical engineer does is that they are the one that does a bit of the front end and a bit of the back end as well, right? Like whether it's just a bridge between the data analyst and the data engineer. They stand in between the two field. You understand? So at the end of the day, so Idris, you don't necessarily need to know Python to work on Fabric. I don't know Python as well. So there's no like, but as we progress, we can all learn it, and maybe later on we want to know how to use Python to do some certain things. We can learn it, and I also am interested in learning it as well. So maybe later on. So I think this project, I didn't use Python at all, and it is still on Fabric environment. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so what we're talking about today. So we'll talk about how this project went, how I did the project, and so mostly we'll talk about the lake house. So what the lake house is all about. We'll talk about how we are going to ingest data into the lake house, different ways of ingesting data into the lake house. So someone was asking me Python. You don't need to know Python before you can ingest data into the lake house. If you know other ways of getting data into the lake house, we can use other way. Yes, Python is very, very important. It's very, very good when you are working with a very large data, right? If you want to migrate data they are very large, let's say about 500 millions of rows of data, 1 billion, you cannot use, there are some method that you cannot use. You have to definitely use Python, use your notebook, Apache Spark, and all. You have to migrate. So it is, if you are working with a very small data, let's say 100,000 or 2 million, you can use normal Power Query or use your normal database and but when the data is very large, and when you want to do reporting, maybe they want to see report at 1 p.m. and maybe the method you are using to migrate the data is very slow, then at the end of the day your process is not efficient enough. So you have to use a very versatile tools that can do the migration for you, on time. You understand? So that's the essence of, okay, why should you use Python, or why should you use this method of data integration and all. So today's section, we are not talking about Python anyway. So in case if you don't know Python, you don't bother yourself. And if you know Python, I believe in subsequent, section, we'll bring people that know Python as well, that will teach us on how to use Python for data injection and all. So we'll talk about lakehouse, we'll talk about data modeling using Fabric, and we'll also look at how to build Power BI report within the Fabric environment. So everything we are going to do within the Fabric environment. Okay, so what are we looking at today? What are we doing? So we look at the implementation roadmap. The first thing is we are going to set up the lakehouse. Second thing we are going to look at is data injection. The next thing we are going to look at is I hope you guys can see my screen very well. So the next thing we look at is data modeling. Then we look at Power BI reports. So this is our roadmap, what we are going to be doing today. And also, so what is a lake house? A lake house is like a centralized place where you can, store your data. So from the lake house, data analysts can go there and pick their data and to start, implementation, to start creating dashboard and all. Data engineer also can the lake house. So that is where they are going to ingest all the data. And data scientists as well can also go to the lake house to also use the data from the lake house to build models, predictive model, recommendation and forecasting and all. So lake house is just like a one building where all of our data is being stored, whether it is structured and unstructured data. So a lake house is a combination of two things. I don't know. So let me ask you, for people that know Fabric before, a lake house is a combination of two things. So who can tell me maybe what combination of lake house is? Can anybody tell us what lake house, the combination of a lake house? Anybody? If you know the combination,
Yes.
if someone said lake house, what is okay? Temitope. Thank you.
Thank you. And it is for structured and unstructured data, if I'm right.
Yeah, you're right. But I want a terms. I want the terminologies that you can just say, okay, yeah, it's structured and unstructured. So in we have a section where you can have the structure, and we have a section that it's not. So the structure part, what do we call it? And the unstructured part, what do we call it? Anybody?
Mm,
So when someone say that a data that is structured is still down in a particular place, so what do we call it when it is structured? Like what is the name of the house? Or what, yeah, the name of the house
Data
when
warehouse.
it is
You can call it
structured.
on data warehouse.
Data
Data warehouse.
warehouse. Exactly. Exactly. Data warehouse. Yeah. And when it is not unstructured, what do we call it? When it is unstructured, rather. What do we call it when it's unstructured?
Data lake.
Nobody. Data lake. Yeah, God bless you. So you can see now it's a combination. So the lake house is a combination of both the warehouse and the data lake. The data lake is where you have unstructured files. And when we are talking about unstructured files, we are talking about, let's say, audio, images, so those are the places where you can see, you can store unstructured file. You can also store maybe CSV, JSON file in the in the section as well. So, but when we are talking about the warehouse has to do with structured files, right? The file must be structured like CSV, Excel, and etc. Okay, so let's proceed. So that's the lakehouse. I hope we understand what the lakehouse is all about. So we are going to be leveraging on Fabric tools, data ingestion, data transformation. We're not really going to look at data transformation, but we'll talk about it briefly. Then orchestration, like using data factory and all. So we also look at data modeling, like I said earlier. We'll build some, a little bit of data, build a model within the Fabric environment. And we also look at building a very simple report using the Power BI within the Fabric environment. And also, we look at the benefits of the solution. It's a centralized data platform, data quality, scalable, and data driven. So these are the things that we're going to be looking at. So let's start implement what we are talking about. Okay, so I will move to my Fabric environment now. Okay, so can you all see my screen? Please, can you see the Fabric? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
I'm sure you can see my screen. Okay. So what do you need before you start? Because everybody will feel like, oh, I can go to the Fabric portal and let me also start, you know, doing some things on the Fabric environment. Well, it might not be possible for everybody to have access to it. And if you have access to it, fine. So what are the things that you need first? The first thing you need is you must have what we call Fabric license. In the Power BI environment, we have different licenses. Tell me like different license that we have within the Power BI or the Fabric ecosystem. Does anybody know the license that we have? Like I said, this is not a lecture room. It's going to be a two-way communication. Anybody, license. When we talk about license, do you know the license that is within the Fabric environment, the Fabric ecosystem? Different license that we have. Anybody? License. Oh, I'm saying this because of people that are preparing for exam as well. We are in the same community together. So those that are preparing for exam, sorry, I have to do this because, at least because those are the things that they are most likely going to ask you during your exam as well. So do you know when it comes to license, the license within the Fabric environment, within the Power BI ecosystem, a license? Okay, so not to waste our time, we have different license, the Pro license, the Power BI Premium license, we have the Fabric license. Fabric is a license on its own. So before you can do anything within the Fabric environment, you must have Fabric license. And that is what is going to give you access to, can you all see my screen? Can you see this on the left, on the bottom left here? I click on the Power BI icon,
We can see your
and when
screen.
I click on it, okay, yeah, thank you. So when I click on it, it brought out some Fabric items like data factory, data activator, industry solution, real-time intelligence, data engineer, data science, and data warehouse. If you don't have Fabric license, you will not have access to all these things. Probably, if you are using a Pro license, you will just have access to Power BI alone. You will not see all these other options. It's only when you have license that you see all these things and you'll be able to do lakehouse, do data factory, do anything that you want to do within the Fabric environment. So you must have a license. So how do you get a license? Number one, is either you are working in a company and the company have Fabric license, or they enable Fabric for you. Another thing is that I know for some of us that have developer accounts, some of us are using the developer account, including myself. I'm using my developer account to teach. So I think I got my developer account extended, just like a few days ago. That's why I have like 55 days left. But in case you don't have developer account, I think Microsoft, you can do like a free trial, like they give you like some, you can open like an account and you can use it for like just a few days to, because I think for developer accounts, they don't give developer account, they don't initiate developer accounts again. So in case you have developer account, please make sure that it doesn't expire. You don't you don't let your developer account, if not, you won't be able to develop anything. Okay, so you must have a developer account or a company account that Fabric is being enabled on it. So now what are we doing today? The first thing we need to do is what? Is to create a workspace. We are going to create a workspace. What is a workspace? A workspace is where you collaborate, you bring in all your Fabric experience, data lake, warehouse, data factory. You put them together and you work together as, whether you're a data analyst, you're a data engineer, you're a data scientist, you work together on that workspace. So let's create a workspace for people that are very new to Fabric or they are new to Power BI as well. So let's create a workspace. I'm going to click here. Then you can see some of the workspace that I have before that I've worked on, my project, and the project that we are doing have done it before. So this is it. So, but we are going to start afresh. We are going to start afresh. So I'm going to click on create a workspace. I'm going to create a workspace called Fabric Saturday. Let's just say Fabric Saturday. Sorry. So we'll call it Fabric Saturday. Let's say WW demo. So we are going to create this workspace. Now, inside this workspace, you will see this is where I'm talking about the license, and the license is very important. I talk about license the other time. We have the Pro license, the Premium license, Capacity license, Embedded license. So currently, I'm using the trial license, which is like what Microsoft is giving us to develop, to be able to have access to the Fabric. If you don't have this trial license, you won't be able to access some of the experience that we're talking about. So you don't have access to it. So you must have the license. So I'm using the trial license, then I'm going to apply. So I'm applying this and okay. Okay, so we also have, sorry, let me go back to the workspace setting. So there's something I need to show. License information. Okay, so we also have, let me see, general. Yeah, I actually want to show something earlier. Okay, no worry, let's just move on. I want to show something in terms of, because sometimes if you are working with a very large data set, you need to pick an option of which type of data set. If your data is not that large, you can pick the small data set. And if your data is very large, you can select the large data set that you are working with a very large data set. But in our case, I think it's a very small data we are working with. So I automatically select the small. I actually want to show us how to select that as well. Okay, so now this is our workspace. You can see that there is nothing inside the workspace yet. We don't have anything in the workspace. Sorry, please, are we still following? Is there any question before I move on? Are we still following? Temitope, data guy, Pelumi. Okay, Bolaji, yeah. Just
Still
one question.
following.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
okay, my question is how do we extend that free trial days? Because I know it's only 60 days they used to give, and I think you said that they extend yours.
Okay, so for the extension, so I got my extension notification. Okay, for example, now I'm using two developer account. I got one extension on my second account this morning. So that was when my license remained 7 days, right? So when it remained like 7 or 6 days, you have to start looking at, your Fabric to be sure that they give you access to extend it, right? So for this particular account, I think it was when I was around 8 days left. That's when I saw the extension notification, and I had to just click on the extend, and it increased to 60 days. On my second account, I saw the notification this morning, and I extended it as well. So you will see the notification. But you make sure that it doesn't expire before you extend it. That's just it. Okay, so
So I
That's
should
okay, thank
just
Felicia.
you.
be on lookout for a
Okay,
notification.
go on. Yes. So once you start getting to like 10 days left, 9 days left, 8 days left, so yours might be 5 days left. I really do not know how they pick those dates. So mine was around 8 days left. So, and I saw the extension notification and I extended it. So that's it. Are you clear?
I'm clear, sir.
Okay.
Hi, Felicia.
Okay. So, okay. So now you can see now. So
Can you
let's
hear me,
go back to
Felicia?
our work. Yes, Pauline.
Yeah, what you wanted to show them the earlier times under the workspace settings. Can you go there so we can show them?
Okay. Yeah,
Workspace
thank you for that.
setting.
Okay.
Workspace settings.
Uh,
So license information.
license
License
information.
information. That's the second tab.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you scroll down, so you say edit. So where you
Again, okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so this is it. So your semantic model storage, right? So you can either select whether it is small semantic model or is it large. So it depends on how your data is. If your data is very large, you have to select the large one. If your data is not that large, you can select the small semantic model. Yeah. So that's just it. And all these license, and these are just regions that you follow your data center. So I don't know whether you know about data center. So we have different data center in the north, in Nigeria, in Africa. I think in Africa we only have one data center, which is South Africa North, and that is what I've been, I know that we have. So you choose your data center when you are registering as well. Okay, yeah, thank you for that, Colin. So now this is our workspace. You can see your workspace here, the one we created now. If you look at all these workspace that I have before, I have objects inside them. So, but the current one that we just create now is a new workspace that we don't have anything, right? So now, what should you do when you have your workspace? So the first thing that I like to do first, thank God for the introduction of the folder. I like creating a folder. It helps you to arrange your work very well. So we'll just call this worldwide import demo. So this is the folder that we'll be putting all our objects that we're going to be creating. We put it inside the folder. So we have this folder. Inside the folder, you can start creating your object and all. But let's switch experience now. So I'm going to switch from BI to the data engineering. Yeah, so let's switch experience. I'll switch to the data engineering. So when you move to the data engineering experience, you will see different tabs, objects, icons, and all, right? So the one that we first need to is to create our lake house, right? So I'm going to click on the lake house. So we are going to call the lake house. Okay, so there's a suggestion name because I've created some lake house with this name before. So I'll just click on create. So don't forget that we are inside the Fabric Saturday workspace. Everything that we are doing now is within the Fabric Saturday workspace, right? So this is our lake house. Now, I explained something earlier about the lake house. I said that the lake house contains the structured and unstructured data. And I also explained that, what is the terms for the structure name? Someone said warehouse, while someone else said data lake. So now this is the practical example of what we are talking about. The file section here is where you have your data lake, for example, like where you have your unstructured data. So you can put unstructured data in the file section. In the table section, that is where you have your structured data, right? You have your structured data. It is only structured data that you can put here. You can't put any other structured data here. It's only structured data that can come here. And for those preparing for exam, please, these are the likely questions that they are going to ask you, right? How to pull data from one place to another, the table section and the file section. So please pay attention to this. So the combination of a lakehouse is the warehouse and the data lake. The data lake is where you have your unstructured data, where the warehouse or the structured place is where you have your table section as well. Okay, so now what are we talking about today? Is that we want to see different ways we can get data into the lakehouse. Let's go back to our architecture. Let's go back to the architecture. So now we are looking at how we can get data into the lakehouse. Is the first thing. Can you see? So please, a lot of people always get confused. This diagram, what is all this diagram all about? How is this? How can I make sense of it? So it's not a big deal. Now, this is our lakehouse, which we just created. We created the lakehouse. Now, what we want to do is that we have all these data sitting down in different locations, right? In the warehouse, some are sitting down on the Azure SQL, but in our own case, we are going to be using SQL Server, which is on my local device. We will use gateway to connect with it so that it will take the data to the fabric. We will also look at file section. So different ways in which we can connect data into the lakehouse. The essence of all these things is that we want to migrate data from all these different sources. We want to migrate it into the what? Into the lakehouse, which we just created now. Then after the lakehouse, we'll create a data model. From data model, we'll build a Power BI report within the Fabric environment, right? We are not going external. Okay, so now let's go back. So the first thing is that we have a data warehouse. The data warehouse is on the Fabric environment. You can have data on ADLS, that is Azure Data Lake. You can have data on Amazon, on Google Cloud, right? So when you have those data there, maybe you don't want to migrate those data. You only want to create a shortcut. Shortcut means that the data is on your storage on Amazon, but you want to connect data to the lakehouse without migrating the data into Fabric. You just want to create a shortcut to it. So we are going to use a shortcut to migrate data to put data into our lakehouse we are going to use the Azure SQL, but in our own case, we are going to use SSMS, right? Then we're also going to use the file session where we are going to use the data flow gen 2, then also the file session. Any question before I move on? Any question? Okay, Temitope. Yeah, Temitope, go on, please. So sorry, your hand is up. I don't know. Any question from anyone? If there's no question, we can move on. But let me, is there any question?
No, 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 no,
I have a
no
question.
question.
Oh yeah, please.
Okay.
Be fast. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. This the architecture you just shown, is it the fabrics that drawn the architecture for us, or is drawn with another device?
Oh, okay. So the architecture is drawn by a friend of mine. Actually, the architecture is being drawn on with Canvas. If you know Canvas, you can draw the
Oh,
architecture yourself.
okay.
Yeah. You can draw the
Okay,
architecture
thank you.
yourself. You can use any tools anyway. You can use
So
Canvas. You can even use what's it called? PowerPoint. I know I've drawn architecture before that I use PowerPoint. So you can use any tools, Figma, anyone that you know how to use. So you can draw it yourself.
thank
Right.
you.
Okay. Okay, so the architecture is just showing you how your workflow is all about, is going to. So okay, so let's move on to the lakehouse. Now on our lakehouse, you can, if you click on get data, if you go to Power BI, you see get data and all. So you can see different ways on how you can get data into the lakehouse. We have the upload file, the data flow, data pipeline, data flow gen 2, new shortcut. We are going to use all these methods except the event stream that we're not going to use. We're going to use all these methods to ingest data into the lakehouse. That's what we're talking about today. Okay, so now, so let's use the shortcut. Now, the shortcut is that in another workspace, the workspace is sitting down on this my fabric, but is in another workspace. So I have a warehouse, right? I have a warehouse. Can you see? This warehouse is another workspace. Space is not in fabric. Let's assume that this workspace is on Amazon, A3 or S3, right? S3, or is on Google Cloud. Let's assume that is not here. Now, what we want to do now is that we want to create a shortcut. The data that is on this warehouse, we are not moving it. We are just creating a shortcut into the lakehouse, meaning that if anything going to happen to this warehouse is also anything you are doing on this warehouse is affecting the data in the lakehouse. If you delete the data in this warehouse, that means that there will not be any data in the lakehouse again, because you are just creating a shortcut to it. You are not moving the data from here to the lakehouse. I hope you understand that. So let's move back to our workspace, our Fabric Saturday workspace. So now I'll go. Can you see the object that we created, the lakehouse? When you create a lakehouse, it's going to create semantic model for you and SQL analytics. We'll talk about this later. So let me move this to my folder. So I'm going to move this to my folder. I'll move this to the folder now because I said I like organizing work. So from here, I'll click my lakehouse. Then this will take me back to the lakehouse. So now let's connect to the shortcuts now. I'm going to click on new shortcut. So when you click on new shortcut, like I said earlier, you can connect to Amazon S3. You can connect to Azure Data Lakehouse. Maybe you have a data in Canvas to Google Cloud. If you have data in Google Cloud that you don't want to migrate the data, you only want to connect to that data, you can use shortcuts, right? But what we are connecting to is within the fabric, which is internal source. You can see external source and internal source. So I'm going to use the internal source now, which is Microsoft OneLake, and it's going to show me all the objects, the lakehouse, the data that I have, right? So now I want to connect to this warehouse. Don't forget I said a warehouse. Okay, so this is the warehouse. Hold on. Okay, the warehouse this is the lakehouse coming. That was Saturday. Uh, my projects, warehouse. Um, I'm looking for
I
a
think
particular warehouse.
is not the third one you want to
I can't
connect to.
see. No. There's a particular. I don't know. I'm not seeing the warehouse that I want to connect to yet. But let's see. Let me check this. Well, this is not the one anyway. So let me see. I'm not sure. It's not being so no, it's not this one. Let me try again. New shortcuts. It's not showing the lake house that I want to. It's not showing the warehouse that I want to connect to, and I don't know why. Uh, okay, I think there's still more. Okay, I think there's more. Okay, this is the warehouse. You can see that the warehouse, the location of the warehouse is in another workspace, which is my project. Can you see this workspace, the warehouse? And when you are connecting to a shortcut, please, the most important thing that you should know that the region must be the same, right? If you are in US, let's say US East, and you want to connect to a region of South Africa, your shortcut will not create, it will not work. So when you are creating a shortcut, it must be on the same data center. Your region must be the same. If you know about data center, you will understand what I'm talking about when it comes to the region, right? So your region, the location of your warehouse must be the same with the lake house. You know, when I was creating my lake house, it showed us the region, which is South Africa North, and that is the region where my account is being created. So make sure that it is on the same region. So I'm going to click on next now. So let's click on this table. It's going to show me the object. Can you see? Let's click on the drop down. Can you see? So this is the file that we are ingesting we are not ingesting the data. Sorry, we are creating a shortcut. So don't let me say ingest. We are creating a shortcut to the lakehouse. So I'm going to click on next. Then I'm creating this. Succeed. Can you see? Okay, so it's taking us back to the lakehouse. So can you see? Can you see now? So you can see now that we have created a shortcut from the warehouse. Now, what I said earlier is that you are seeing the data here. Does not mean that you bring in the data into the lakehouse here. No, it is just a shortcut you create. So anything that happens to the underlying data warehouse, where the data is coming from, is going to affect this data in the lakehouse here. You understand? So you cannot even modify. You cannot say that. You cannot rename. Can you see? You cannot rename it because it's a shortcut that you created, right? It's a shortcut, right? So we are not doing data cleaning here. So in case you are seeing some data, the data are not clean at all. So this section is not for data cleaning. We are just want to show you how you can bring data to the lakehouse and you can also take it up and clean the data later on. So we have created a shortcut. The next one we are going to do is what? If you go back to our architecture, data warehouse shortcut, we bring the data already. To bring data from the Azure SQL, but in our own case, we are going to be using SQL Server, right? We'll take it to the pipeline, then take the data to the lakehouse. Okay, so let's see how we can implement this. Any question? So far, any question? Any question? If you are clear, you're not clear.
There's a
Any
question in the
question?
chat.
I have a
Okay, Balaji.
question.
Okay, so be
So
fast
how
and
do how
let's
do we connect to that warehouse that you created the shortcut from? Because we don't have the warehouse at our own end here.
okay. So like I said, you can the warehouse. Okay, so now this is the idea about it. There is a company called Global Trader. So Global Trader, they have data source in different locations. They have a warehouse that they are using before, right? The warehouse, maybe some of their data analysts are taking the data from the warehouse. They have another data in what on the warehouse now is sitting down on, let's say, on Amazon. Let's just say, for example, that's where the warehouse is. Excel, CSV, maybe some data analyst tool. They are connecting to the Excel file. They are creating report there. Another data is on what? On ADLS. Some data guys too. They are connecting to that place. They are creating reports. Another data is on OneDrive, right? It's on OneDrive. Another analyst is connecting to the data. They are creating their reports. Some people even have their data on their local machine. That is where they are building their report from. Now, what Fabric is telling us is that all these data that are in different locations, let's bring them together into one place, which is called what? The lakehouse. Now, in your own case, if you don't have the data in a warehouse, create a warehouse and create a shortcut to bring it to the warehouse, to the lakehouse. You understand? It's just for you to see how it works, to demonstrate it. It's not like, oh, there is a warehouse somewhere. And if you have a warehouse, maybe your company, you can go and implement it in your company. Tell your boss, okay, let's even try this thing that, you went to a workshop and they said that something can work, you can connect to a warehouse using a shortcut. You can try it out in your company, or maybe with a sample data and all, anyone that you choose. Do you understand the concept of the warehouse now, Bolaji?
Okay, I think I get. So I can just create my own warehouse on my Fabric and connect it to this lakehouse.
God bless you. You get it. That's perfect example. So it's not the warehouse. I have created it in another workspace before. So I just use a shortcut to take it. So if your warehouse is in another external device, Google Cloud, Amazon, you will do the same method. Just know how to connect it. That's all.
Fine. Thank you so much.
Exactly. Perfect. Okay, so now let's leave question now. I'll answer the question later. But let's go on. So let's go to the pipeline. How to bring data using pipeline, right? So let's see how we can bring in data using pipeline. So I'm going to connect to a pipeline. So let's call this WWI. Okay, I think I have some names. So let's just use this one. I'm going to create. Now, don't forget, in our architecture, we said we want to connect to the Azure SQL, right? Using data pipeline. So SQL, you can either have it on the cloud or you have it on your local, on your local device, right? So you can either have it on your local device or have it on the cloud. It's still the same anyway. So, but we are going to be using the one on on-prem environment, because I don't have Azure SQL database created, right? So I don't have that. So sorry, give me a second. Hmm. Okay, so now what we want to do now is that we want to copy data from where? From So I have like I said, the global trader, right? They have data in different locations. That is, the essence of using Fabric or the is that we want to, migrate all the data into a single platform where what data analysts can connect from, data engineer can connect from, data scientists can also connect from the lakehouse. So that is the essence of the lakehouse. All the data that we have in a scattered location, let's bring them together into the lakehouse. That is the essence. So this organization, they also have a data where on SQL Server, right? If you have Azure SQL database, you can also use it to demonstrate it. Is another perfect example. So this company also have their data. Can you see WWI holder? They have another data on where? On SQL Server. Now they want to copy this data from this SQL Server into the lakehouse. because what they are trying to migrate their data into a single location. You understand? So that is please can you see my screen? Let me be sure you can see my screen and I'm audible. Hello, can you see my
Yeah,
screen?
I can see your screen. Yeah, I can see
Okay.
your screen.
Okay.
We can see.
Okay, so now we want to take this data. So maybe let me just run a select query here so that we can see the data. So let me just run a select query. Okay. So what is the table name? So let's see. I think the table name is other details. Uh, so let's check. Okay, that's not the table name. Okay, let's just hold on. It's loading. Uh, um, okay, we'll come back to this. The table is still expanding. I want to get the table name. I don't know the exact table name. So I don't know why it's taking time anyway. Oh, let me put underscore here. Let's see. It's still not the same name.
Try to start with the table name DBO lesson. If it will bring up all the table names.
Okay. So I've seen the table name. So I need to add these three underscore. Okay, so you can see the data. This is the data here, right? From the data is sitting down on our SQL server. If you have it on Azure database as well, you can also take it to the Fabric. So let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to click on can you see SQL Server database? If you have different source, from the Fabric, you have access to connect to different sources. You can connect to sample data. You can even connect to Azure, right? To anything on all these Azure SQL database, my SQL based on Azure, you can connect to them. You can see different sources that we have. Can you see a lot of different sources? So let's just go back home. We'll use the SQL Server database. In our architecture, you see that we have Azure SQL database. It's the same. This is just like this one is sitting down on your local machine, while this one is on the cloud. They are both the same, right? They are both almost the same anyway. So it's just that one is sitting on the cloud, while one is on the on-prem. So I'm going to use the SQL Server. So the server name, I'm going to go to my server. Then I'll go to database engine. I'll copy my server name. Then I'll come here and paste this. So database, that can be optional. So let's see, create new connection. So let's create a new connection. Okay, connection name is this my desktop. So let's just say FBS, that's Fabric Saturday. Gateway. Yes, I need a gateway. So I have a gateway installed already. So, but if you want to practice this, you might need to go and learn how to connect gateway. So I'm going to connect this gateway. My authentication kind will be window. I'm going to use window authentication. Then I'll copy this. I'll copy this and put it here. And I'll put my name. So then I'll put my password. This is my window password, like your window password. So I'm going to click on next. Connection name is desktop FBS. Okay. Um, okay. So let's it's connecting to the data source now. So now what we are trying to do is that we are trying to connect to this database, right? To this our SQL server. So we are trying to connect. Sorry, someone saying something? No. Okay. So let's just continue. It's connecting. Okay. Now you will see that maybe for those of you that, for some of us that might want to practice, you see that when we try to connect, it gives us an error. We are unable to connect to data source using encrypted connection. Use an unencrypted connection, uncheck. You understand? So even if you uncheck this, I'm going to uncheck it now, and I'm going to click on next. I'll click on next. It will still show the error. It will still show the error, right? So, well, I really did not know why. I really did not know why Microsoft, they do something like, or maybe why this one is not working directly. But if you experience something like this, right, the first thing that you should do is to create the connection. Make sure you create the connection. Can I say I've created the connection? Then cancel this, cancel it. Yes, cancel. I'm going to cancel it. Now, this is going to take us to the pipeline. I'm very sure for those that know ADLS, that know data factory, right? If you know data factory before, this kind of wizard or the page here, the UI here, is not going to be new to you. So now I'm going to click on copy data. So instead of using the copy assistance, I'm going to click on the add to canvas. So I'll click on add to canvas so you can see. So from here, now this is our copy data, because we want to copy the data from where? From the SQL database. It's still the same process that we supposed to follow, but because the connection is not going through, so we have to use another route to bring the data. So you can change the name. So like let's say wwi other details, right? Just rename the name if you want to. Okay, so activity state is just showing you activated timeout. Like if this thing is, you want to connect it, what time should it time out, and when should you retry, and all this one is. So now let's click on the source. Now the source is what? Where your data is coming from, right? So I'm going to select. Now, can you see I'm selecting it, then I'll click on more. So I'll click on more. Don't forget that we have connected it earlier before, but the data is not just connecting. So I will just, so let's look for the connection that we created earlier. Do we have the connection here? Okay, so let me click on view more. I should be able to see the connection from here. Let's see. So let's scroll down. Okay, so this is the connection. Can you see this desktop FBS? You can say that I put FBS so that, because I've connected it before, but I want to be able to show that the one that I connected to is the FBS. Can you see? So I'm going to click on this one now, the FBS. So I'll click on it. It's connecting. Okay, so now let's connection type. Our connection type is what? SQL Server. Can you see? If you are using Azure SQL Database, you click on Azure SQL Database, but I'm using SQL Server. So can you see? So let's test our connection. Let's test the connection. Testing connection. Successful. Okay, so maybe while that is connecting. So now let's click on the table. Which table do we want to copy? Right? Let's see. Okay, can you see connection successful? Can you see? So which table do we want to, this is the connection type. Now we want to, go to our table. So which table do we want to bring in? So which table do we want to bring in? So that's our other details, right? Uh, so I'm coming. Yes. Okay, so let me enter it manually. Let me enter it manually. Table name. The table name is let me come here. what's the table name? Cancel. So this is the table name. Come back here. So let's preview the data. So table schema, the schema should be DBU anyway. But let's preview the data. Let's preview it. If you have the same data here, then that's fine. Field. Where does this field? Let me add DBU here. So, okay. I need to add the database, right? The database, yeah. Okay, so this is the database. Yeah, so let's preview it again. So let's preview it again. Okay, so can you see? Now this is the exact data that we have here that we can see here. As you can see the exact data. So okay, so that's fine. The connection is now successful. So you can see everything here. You can leave all this one. So let's go to destination. Now, what we are saying is that copy this data from the source data. This is the source. We have connected the data from the source. We have previewed the data. We can see the data. Now, destination. Who can tell us where is our destination? Where are we going to? Anybody? Our destination is where?
The lake house.
The lake house. Yeah. So our destination is the lake house. So you also need to set up the destination as well. So connection, you click on the drop down, then so our lake house, you need to make sure that you pick the right lake house. So our lake house, no. So hold on. Let me view more. No. Okay. Yes. Okay. So we are connecting to the lake house, right? So let me click on this drop down. So can you see? So now we are connecting to this fabric starter. You have to be specific with the location and the workspace as well. So this is the workspace. This is the lake house, right? You can say fabric Saturday. So I'm going to click on this one. I'll click here then. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, so connection, this is the lake house, root folder, table. We have how many sections in the lake house? The table and the file section. The table we are bringing in. So you can tell us, is this a structured data or unstructured data? This data that we want to is a structured data. And I told you that if a data is structured, you can take it to the table section. You understand? You can take it to the table section. Can you see? So we're taking it to the table section now. Root folder is what table. If it is a file, you click on file. So table name. Now for this table name, right? You can say that we have fat order. So we want to create a new table. The table has not existed before. You understand? The table has not existed before. So I'm going to create a new table. I'll click on new. So what is the table? I'll call it WW high order detail, because it's a new table that I want to bring in. So I will just order details, right? So I'll create this table. So we are creating this table. Can you see? Now you see table action, append and overwrite. The table does not exist before, so you can use append. If you want, if the table exists and maybe there are some adjustments from the database and you want to append it, you want to overwrite it, you can overwrite it, right? So I think this is okay. So you just append, you can just rewrite append. Then if you preview this one, you won't see anything there, right? Because the data, there's nothing inside the table. You just want to copy this data and you won't see anything inside the table, right? You won't see anything there. So okay. Yeah, so pick this one. Then let's go to mapping. I don't think there's anything in the mapping we do. We are not doing anything in the mapping settings. We are not doing anything here. It's just the source and the destination. So destination, we pick it already. Our table name, this is the table name, append. Okay, that's fine. So now let's try to run our, let's try to run this. Let's try to run this. Let's see. Let's try to save and run. So let's run our pipeline. So let's try to run it. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Okay, our pipeline is running already. So you can see pipeline status in progress. So okay, so it's running already. So any question why the pipeline is running? So how I believe it should be successful. Okay, so any question? Maybe any question while the pipeline is running? Any question?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Okay, please go on.
So actually, I followed through all the process, but I missed out where you created that connection before you go to your data pipeline and do the add copy to Canva, something like. But the way you created the connection, where we are trying to connect earlier with the SQL database, something.
Okay. Okay, so where exactly? Like I didn't. So where exactly are you lost? Like which part?
When we are having an error, you get
Yes.
while you are trying to connect. So you now say you did the connection. You get that connection you said you did. I didn't get that actually. That's the only thing I missed out.
Okay. Well, I won't be able to go back. Maybe after the section, you can reach out to me. I will probably show you, or you can also watch the is a recording section. You can also watch. I won't be able to go
Wow.
back to the place because of time. But you can reach out to
Okay,
me
that's
after the
fine. That's
section.
fine. That's fine.
You watch. Okay. So now you can see now that our pipeline status is what is successful, right? So now let's go back to our lake house, right? So let's go back to our workspace. Let's go back to our workspace. Now, if you go back to your workspace, you okay. So let's go to the lake house. Let's go to the lake house. Now you see that there's nothing inside the lake house. Even everything says successful. So what should you do? Don't panic. Just refresh. So just refresh the lake house. Just refresh. And let's see. So you can see unidentified objects. Unidentified objects. So let's refresh this one as well. So let's refresh. So can you see our other details table is here already? So you can see that, and you can also preview it. You can see that is exactly what we copy from the database that is also here. Okay. So we need to be fast now because of our time. Time is fast going. So let's be fast with the other way. So this will definitely load. Isn't okay? So you can see the data that we copied. So now let's quickly look at other sources, which is what we have used the data pipeline shortcut. So now let's look at data flow gen 2, right? So let's look at data flow gen 2. Which data are we bringing into the data flow gen 2? We are bringing in the customer product and shipper data, right? So let's quickly look at the data flow gen 2, and I'll click on here. Okay, so when you data flow gen 2 is I'm very sure for people that are coming from the Power BI, they're coming from the Power BI background, data flow gen 2 is not supposed to be new because it's just saying that Power Query online. That is what data flow gen. So don't mind Microsoft. I don't know why they don't call it Power Query. They could have called it Power Query, but they choose not to call it Power Query so that they want to sell a new product. So is data flow gen 2 is just like Power Query in Power BI or Power Query in Excel. Even in Excel, they don't call it Power Query, they call it Power Pivot as well. So but data flow gen 2 is like Power Query in Excel. Sorry, in Excel or in Power BI as well. Yeah. So now you can see data flow gen 2. We are ingesting 3 data from the data flow gen 2, right? So we have the product, shipper, and customer table that we want to ingest through this method. So now this my data, they are in, so let's check the formats. Okay, I think they are all Excel formats. They are all Excel format. Can you see? They're all Excel formats. So I will come back here, then I'll go to get data. So I'm going to click on Excel workbook. So you can see link to file, upload file. You can see you can choose either method. Now, this my Excel workbook. It is not on my local device. It is on OneDrive. Now, don't forget, I told you earlier, the story we are, what we are trying to do is that global trader, like I said earlier, they have their data in different sources. Some data in Google Cloud, Amazon S3, Azure Data Lake, SQL database. Some are even on OneDrive, right? I told you earlier. So now we want to create connection to the OneDrive now. So I will go to my OneDrive. I'll click on my OneDrive. So I will go to my OneDrive. So on my OneDrive, I have this data here, worldwide importer data. So these are the data. So we have the product, shipper, and the customer data. They are all Excel file. Can you see? They are all Excel file. So when the BI teams, when they are creating the report, they connect to the OneDrive. But now, like I said earlier, the lakehouse is just like, okay, all the data that you are just connecting from different sources, let's bring everything together. All the data can come together under one roof in a single house, and everybody can now start working. Not that one team will be connecting to OneDrive, another team is connecting to database, another person is connecting to, to Google Cloud. So now I'm going to click on this three ellipse here. I'll click on detail. Then I will go to parts. I'll copy this parts. Then I'll come back to my data, to my Synapse data engineer. Like I said, the data engineering space for people that Azure Synapse before is just telling you that they have copied what is on Azure Synapse into Fabric. So, like I said, it's not a new thing entirely for people that are coming from the data engineering background. So now, at this point, I'm not going to use data gateway. And the reason is because the data is on the cloud. When you are using data on the cloud, you don't need data gateway again, right? So I'm just going to use organization account, which is my developer account. Can you see? Using my developer account, I'll click on connect. I'll click on connect. So this will connect to our OneDrive. Okay, so we have the data. Then let's create. So let's create. So if you want to do data transformation, right, before you move the data into the lakehouse, you can do your data transformation here, right? You can do data transformation. So what are the transformation? You promote headers, you remove columns, you remove anything that you feel like is not going to impact the business. When you are doing your analysis, you do that. You can say the apply step is just like exactly like a Power Query. If you want to, maybe this column region, you feel like it's unnecessary, your data engineer can do all these things for you as a data. So the person that asked me question earlier that, oh, you don't know Python. Have I used Python since I've been doing my data migration? I've not used Python. You understand? So, but there will be a time that Python will be needed, right? Maybe when the data is more than what Power Query can do. You have to use Python in that scenario, right? So in a case the data is not that large, you can use Power Query to ingest your data and pipeline and other source. So you can do your data transformation in Power Query before you now move the data into what? Into the lakehouse. So let's just do a simple data, maybe we just remove one column, let's just remove this column. I'm not saying you should remove column, but let's just at least do one process of data, cleaning and all. So I've done this. You can go ahead and do more. So let's rename this as what? As customer table. Time. Okay, so let's publish this. So you can see data destination is what? Is Lakehouse. So, well, we connected from the Lakehouse initially. You can also change your data destination if you wish to change it, but oh, I'm not supposed to publish this yet. I'm supposed to have connected every other data source as well. Okay, so let me go back. Let me go back to my, I still have, okay. So let me go back to my data flow. So you can see the pipeline that we created earlier. This is the pipeline. If in case you want to go back to your pipeline, you can come back to your pipeline. Maybe you want to adjust something, you can click here and go back to your pipeline. So let me move this pipeline. I'm going to move it to the folder that I created earlier. So I'm going to move it here. So I've moved the pipelines to the folder. So I actually want to go back here. Let me go back to my data flow because there are still some data that I need to bring in. So or maybe we should just use this because of time. So let's just move on. Let's move on. We'll just ignore. Should we just ignore the rest, or we should? Okay, let me just bring in one more data because of time. I believe we have all gotten the steps to bring data into the data region. So this is loading. That's why I'm waiting. It's loading. Okay. Okay, so it has, okay. So let's go back to the data flow. So let's quickly bring in our other table. Let's quickly bring our other table. So depending on how fast your internet is, actually, I think my own internet is a bit slow. So let's quickly bring in some other table as well. So I'll click on, I think all of them are Excel workbook. So let's bring in so let me quickly come back here. And so let's bring the customer. I think I did customer the last time. So let's bring in products. So details. I'll copy the parts. Then I'll come back here and paste the URL. You can also upload, right? You can also upload. If you have the data on your local system, you can also upload it. So, but once you upload, the data is going to OneDrive of your account. So just note that once you upload, the data is going to your OneDrive. So that's just the, so let's create this one as well. Okay. So let's quickly get, okay, so let's leave the last one because of our time. Let's leave the last one. So let's just proceed and go on with this. So let's go to products. Okay, you can do transformation as well. Your data destination is Lakehouse. Can you see? You can change destination. You can change destination. Can you see? You can change destination if you wish to change, create new destination, or you can change your destination, but we are going to publish this. You can also rename your data flow. You can rename it here. But let's just move on. So this is our data flow. Can you see? These are data flow. Is already loading. So what we ingest now is what? The product and the customer tables, right? From where? From the OneDrive. So you can see from OneDrive. That's where we pick the data from. Okay, so now it's loading. Any question while this is loading? So any question? One question. Let's just entertain one question, then one question from anyone. Or if there's a question that we are yet to attend to. One question. Let's just answer one question, then Palumi, is there any question? No question?
No question.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I have a
Okay, so
question.
Okay.
So
please
my
go on.
question is about the license thing.
Okay.
I go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
If you have a license for Fabric, do you still need the license for Power BI separately, or is it included in the Fabric one?
Yeah, so if you have Fabric license, then yeah, because the Fabric license is like, I think it's like the ultimate license at the moment. I really do not know, but I think that's the ultimate license. Like, it carries out everything that you want to do if you have it.
Okay.
So you don't
Okay.
need to have like a Power BI license. If you have the Fabric license, I think that's the ultimate license at the moment. So I think maybe Pelumi or Francis or any other person can talk more about the license. Yeah. Okay, so now now let's go back to our lake house. Now you can see on your lake house, just refresh the lake house. Let's refresh the lake house. Then let's refresh the lake house. So all the data that we have ingested, we should be able to see them. Can you see customer table and the so let's refresh this one. So can you see the two tables that we ingest custom? Now, the last method that we want to use is what? Upload file, right? Upload file. So we are going to upload file. So let's go back to our architecture. Can you see file, load to table, then we take it to the lake house. So your file section is like I said, it can contain both the structured and the unstructured data, the file section, while the table section only can contain only the structured table. So I'm going to create a subfolder here. I'll call it, let's just call it WWI data. So I'll create it. So we are going to ingest the data through our local. I'm going to upload this file from my local device. From my local device, I will upload this. So, okay, so let's just upload this. So, I'm going to click on upload. So you can see from my local device, like I said, the data are in different locations. So we can bring in data from different locations and into your lakehouse. So if you go to your subfolder, you can see the TD files. So now from here, you can now load the data into your table section. So let's just leave this like this. Because of our time, we need to be fast now. Category shipper. So let's just quickly load. Okay, this one will not be able to load until this one is done. Okay. Any question? While this is loading, do you have any other question? Well,
No, we don't have any question except people want to talk. There's no question in the chat.
okay, okay. So let's load this to which one am I loading now? Dates category. Okay. So not to so let's just load all these. Okay, so we have ingest all our data using shortcuts, using you know the file section, using the data flow gen 2 pipeline. So and I don't think we have used Python at all. So even if you don't have Python experience, you don't know how to use Python, you can always do something within the fabric. So you don't necessarily need to know Python to do some of these things. So uh, but it's good to have Python knowledge. At least it will help you on the long run. So we can see all our data now, from different locations, shortcut pipeline, data flow gen 2, your five, everything is now in the lake house section. Now we talk about data modeling, right? How to build models. I think we talk about it in our slide here. So we talk about it. The next thing we look at is what? Data modeling, building a model, and we talk about building Power BI report as well. So let's quickly look at how we can build a model. So from the lake house, you can also switch your experience from the lake house. So you can see that we have the SQL analytics analytic endpoint. So from the lake house is just like the tables view, right? Table section where you can view something. So we are going to switch to the SQL analytic endpoint now, where we can query our data. You can use your TSQL, so you can use your TSQL here. You can preview your data. You can do modeling. You can do measure. You can build some measures and all. So now we will not really talk about queries and all. What we just want to do is to build our model. So I'm going to click on the model tab. Can you see the model tab? So I'll click on the model tab. Then I'll click on default semantic model. Default semantic model. I'll click here. Then I'm going to click on each of these tables. So I'll click here, then add to semantic model. So I'm going to add all these tables to our model, one after the other. So let's add them. Okay. So we have our category dates, and please, if you have questions, you can ask questions. Yeah,
I have a question.
please go on.
I have a question.
Please go on.
So this data, they are from different sources, right?
Yes.
So they are now in the same lakehouse. So we can now build a model from them. We build a
Yes,
model with them.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
So
Hello, sir.
yeah, please go on, sir.
Okay, so actually there was a day I was working with Fabric. So I was in that SQL analytic something. So I already write my measure. So I was now trying to use the measure in my SQL analytic page, but the thing was not going through. So I need to actually explicitly write out my measure inside my what's it called, my SQL page. So I want to ask it that you cannot use measure within SQL something, the SQL query.
Okay. If I get you right, you want to write a measure within in this SQL analytical endpoint, right?
I already write my measure somewhere. Like
Okay.
not I think from what's it called? There's a part that you can where you can do your measure. But I'm just trying to use the measure within the SQL query. Do you get? Like I'm trying to how do I query out that measure within the SQL query, but it's not coming out. So I need to actually now write out that measure that I initially wrote before, like write that explicitly again inside my SQL query.
Well, I really did not get the question very well. So maybe Pelumi, I don't know, maybe you understand the question. I really did not get the question. Maybe you said you wrote the query, the DAX somewhere. Now you now want to write an equivalent of the query in SQL, right?
I just want to use that measure in the SQL.
Okay.
I wrote the dash query for sum, just a sum dash query is already there in my table. So and I need to write another SQL query to query out that particular measure out. You know that I can just say select on my SQL query, select then other SQL query that I want to use with that measure. So anytime I'm using that measured already written somewhere, it's not coming out. You get? I'm not having results for it.
Okay.
Just bring an error message. So I need to remove that measure, like the total thing that I've already created. I need to remove it, then write some my this thing over again in my query.
You get that, Florencio?
Okay, Pelumi, I think you want to answer a bit, right? You want to
I said,
pick
do you
it up.
get that, Florencio? Do you
I
get
thought you
the
want to pick
question?
it up. Well, maybe we will look at. I will look at maybe what you want to do. Maybe after the call, after this section, I can isolate the issue so that will not take much of our time here. Let's quickly finish this section. You can reach out to me after the call as well. So let's quickly look at it. Is that fine?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now what we want to do now is that we want to create models, right? So we just the normal models, your one to many, many to one. So this one, I'm going to change it to one to many because customer is the one direction, is the one, and the fact table is the many side. So you need to know data model, like your model before you can build all this one. So, but the section today is not on that. So let's quickly look at this. So many to one, no, this is one to many. So let's quickly build our models, right? Other details, category. So category table is connecting to our products. So let's just add to semantic model. Okay, so okay. So let's connect, where is our product? Okay, so connect to products, one to many, yes. So, category. Okay, so let's just leave this one. Let's leave all this one. So let's just work with this at the moment. So you can see that you can build your models, your star schema, you can build your model, your star schema, your snowflake schema. You can build your models the way it's supposed to be. Okay, I think this is correct. Yeah. Okay, this model is correct. Okay. So you can build your model, right? So after building your model, so the next thing you can, so now once you build your model, you can also create measure, right? I don't know whether what we want to do now will solve in the last person question, right? So you can build so that's why I said that maybe after the section you you will understand, because I know you mentioned something around measures and you cannot use the measure and all. So I intentionally said that, okay, let's look at it later. So maybe what we want to do now will solve your question. So let's quickly create some small, some measure, right? So now on this table, the only problem with Fabric is that you cannot create, just like in Power BI, that you can easily create a new table to put all your measure, but you cannot do that here. So you just have to, create. You have to create like a measure in a table. So let's create our measure here. I'm going to click on this table, then click on new measure. Click on new measure. So let's just create some simple, like some very simple measure like total sales. So let's create like total sales. Let's say total sales. Total sales. So what is total sales? Total sales is let's use the sum x. Sum x. That's our other details. That details table. So say sales amount multiplied by quantity. So we get our total sales. So let's look at total quantity. So we just create some simple measure. Um, so let's create total quantity. Total quantity. So total quantity is the sum of quantity sold, right? So quantity, other quantity. So you can say that everything we are doing, we did not even open Power BI at all. And all these things that you can do in your normal Power BI, you can see that you can do them you can do them on the Fabric environment. Yeah. So total order. So let's look at total order. So total order, so let's say total order. I want to count rows, parts, orders. So the next one, let's just create one more measure. Let's create one more measure. So let's create let's create average order sales. Just create a very simple one, average order sales. So this one we use divide total sales by total order. So I believe if you don't know how to use measure, right? Like that's you might have to go and learn that anyway. So those are the things that you need as a data analyst. You know how to write that and all. You need to know how to write that. So now you can format. If you go to your property pane, so let's say the total amount that is currency. You can come to your formatting pane here. Format it as a currency. Can you see? And format it as a currency. You can change the currency type you want to. If you want to format it as maybe average order sales is a decimal, you can come to your formatting and change it to what? To decimal. You can see, you can change it to decimal. So you can do what you can do in Power BI, can also do it here. So now we are done with our model, right? We have created our model, right? So the next thing is what is to create Power BI report. So we'll go back here, then so from here, from this page now, you go to new report. So from here, once you click on new report, you can see that we are in the data engineering space since, right? When you click on new report, this will take you to the Power BI. To take you to the Power BI interface. Can you see? Can you see that this has taken us to the Power BI? And all the measure, right, that we have created, can you see? You can see them here. You can see all the measure that we created here. Now you can start creating your, for people that like visualization, you can create your measure, you can start creating your visuals, you can start creating your visual, right? Total order, total sales, you can start creating all these total quantity. And the
I have
good
a
things
question, sir.
about, okay, go on, sir.
I
Please
did
go
not
on.
see a plot where you can create generate report automatically, or it's not on this side.
Okay, where you can generate reports. Well, yeah, you
Auto-
can. Okay, so I will show you that. I will show you that. Don't worry. But well, me, I don't think I like to generate reports. I would like to build my own from the scratch. AI is good, but when it comes to the business, AI will not be able to. I'm not sure that they have built all this AI to solve some certain business logic. So you have to do it from the scratch yourself. So you can say that you can actually do everything, almost everything. Yeah, I won't say everything. I won't say everything because there are still some certain things that you might, especially when it comes to the reporting. So when it comes to the reporting side, you can connect Lakehouse to Power BI, right? You can connect Lakehouse to Power BI. So you can build all your reports in Power BI. Then when you are done, you push it back to the fabric. You understand? Because when it comes to the user, maybe some UI, like some experiencing, like using button, using some certain things, is not Power BI. Microsoft did not make it enabled in the fabric, but they make it enabled in the Power BI desktop. Because why? They want you to still be able to use Power BI desktop. So they know what they are doing. They are trying to just integrate all this. So I want you to see that the models is working. So let's see maybe products name by product name by, let's say, by total sales. Let's just do something. So you can see that the models is working, because if this model is not working, the relationship, everything will just be showing you one single value. So you can see that the relationship is working, and you can actually create well, this session is not to create reports, right? We are not creating a fancy report. It's just to show us that everything can be built within the fabric environment, right? So for the auto report generating, right? You want to auto generate your report, so you can save your report. So let's save. I'm not designing, so I'm going to save it in the Fabric workspace. So I'll just call it WWI. Okay, so just save the reports. So you can start building more on all this. You can later on come and do your fancy, visual appealing, do more and give more insight as well. So you can do that. Okay, so for the auto report, right? If you want to generate auto report, so let's go back to our So let's come back here. So all these objects, we can move them to the, sorry, okay, I'll move this one here. Okay, so let's see how you can do auto reports. So let me move this. Okay, from the lake house, right? Is it from the lake house? No, I think it's from the semantic model. Yeah, from the semantic model, right? So you can see, hello, the person that asks whether you can do auto reports.
Yeah,
Can you
thank
see?
you. Accept. Thanks.
So from the lake house semantic model, right? From the semantic model, you can see auto create report. But well, I think for business people, but let's see how the auto create reports works. So, but for most business people, they want to create their reports, themselves. I thought this thing I created auto. I don't know why. What happened? So let me go back. Uh, Common. So okay, so semantic model auto create report. Why is the report not creating auto? I don't know. Well, I've not used this thing before anyway. Because I don't create report automatically, but I don't know why it's not even generating the report automatically for me.
Actually, I've used it. Well, I use it when I connected my Power BI desktop to Power BI service. So I just load my data from Power BI desktop without putting import to Power BI service. And there's this feature called Quick Insights. So when I click
Yeah.
on the Quick Insights, it just generates the report automatically.
Okay. Well, that I know that you can auto generate reports anyway, but I don't often use it anyway because I know the auto generate is not going to give me exactly what it's not going to give me the way I want it. So I prefer to build it from the scratch myself. So, but basically, follow me. I think we have covered all our section. Yeah, we're able to cover everything. So we're done. If you have any questions and maybe areas that you are concerned about, you can ask a question. We still have about few minutes left. I know. Yeah. So any question? Follow me. I think we are done. Hand
Uh,
over to you.
yes, sir. I have a question, sir.
Okay, please go on.
So, as a data analyst, my question is, I've used Power BI, I've used what's it called, SQL, and normal Power BI service. But looking at for someone, I feel like the Fabric is equivalent to Power BI service. So, is it compulsory that as a data analyst, I must have the idea of this data engineering stuff, like all the process you carried out, like that gentle flow, data pipeline, Apache and the like, is it a must that I was not do that thing too? Because sometimes I feel like I should just I should focus more on my analysis part. But if I want to dive into data engineer, then I can now say let me dive into engineer. And if I'm diving into data engineer, can I just stay on Fabric usage alone and don't bother learn these all these other data engineering something outside data fabric that can I just learn data fabric for data engineering alone and I'll be regarded as data engineer too.
Okay, so well, I would say based on what I know, Fabric alone is not sufficient to be a data engineer. Based on what I know, right? So Fabric alone is not sufficient to call yourself a data engineer, right? You need to know, because a data engineer is very wide. It's beyond Fabric environment. It's beyond what you know of Fabric. You have to know some architecture, a lot of architecture work, because let's assume you want to work in a company that they are not using Fabric or they are not using Microsoft products, and you call yourself a data engineer. So you need to find your way around how to solve some other problem that is not within Microsoft environment. Well, we can focus. I know some. I think I went to my office a week or some weeks ago, and one guy, a data engineer was telling me that he doesn't like anything around AWS. He only prefer Azure. Like that is you can specialize. Like when job are coming, any job that is talking about AWS, you just ignore it. You only focus on the one that is what Azure, Microsoft. But it's just a limitation. You understand? When you see opportunities, and maybe you just see a job that is about, a million, it's running into millions, and you cannot take it because you don't know how to use a particular tools, because you don't know AWS, and you miss out the opportunity. So the essence about this thing, okay, this one, that one is just for opportunities. When opportunity comes in, you are able to take it. So now, for a data analyst, so I think this is where a lot of us get it. We are not getting it right, right? A lot of us are not getting it right. Is that you feel like if you don't know Python, you cannot use Fabric because it has notebook inside it. No. So Fabric is for the three discipline: data scientist, data analyst, data engineer, and even the analytical engineers as well. All these three people can use Fabric individually. You might not know, I'm sure some data engineer, I have said it earlier, they don't know Power BI. Whereas some data analysts too, they don't know Python, they don't know how to use, like me as well. I don't know I don't know how to use Python. Maybe later on, it's something that I want to explore later. I want to learn it, you understand? So it's another thing that you can decide that, okay, you just want to learn it, how to use it, so that when opportunity comes in, you should be able to take up the challenge, you understand? It's not like, because you are not a data engineer, you don't know Python, you cannot use Fabric. You can use Fabric. You can say that we use Power Query. Power Query is for, if you are coming from the, from Power BI side, you should be able to use Power Query. And that is what Fabric is telling you, or Microsoft is telling you, that you don't necessarily need to know Python. You understand? Because if you understand Power BI is coming from a platform called what? The low code. You use a bit of small, you are using code, you are coding, but the coding is not that much. You understand? So if Power BI is part of the 5 Power Platform, Powerhouse, it's just being that, okay, it's a very versatile tools that, you can incorporate it with other tools as well. So the person that has a question, you don't necessarily need to be a data engineer before you can use Fabric. And the future work, right? Everybody is now moving, some organizations are moving to the cloud. They are moving to the cloud. That solution now, you must know how to use Fabric, Azure, Google Cloud, Amazon, you know, call it any cloud platform. So you also need to understand the cloud platform as well. I hope I've answered your question, and I know Pelumi and every other people that are my boss are here as well. They can also, clarify some questions that I did not answer very well. Yeah.
You are perfectly, sir. Thank you so much. But can you expatiate more on these analytical engineers?
Well, I am not an okay. So for me, I think for analytical engineer, so what basically analytical engineer does is that they are more of they tend to move, they tend to be more of like data. Should I say they work more? Their work is more of like moving data. Okay, the engineers created a data structure for you already. So the analytical engineer, they try to move the data maybe from one particular location to where the data analysts work. So if you're a data if you are analytical engineers, right? So you need to know some other tools like DBT. Yes, I think DBT and maybe Databricks. Yeah. So because you need to, at that point, you have to know how to move data, to migrate data. Yeah, because those are the tools that is likely to qualify you more to be an analytical engineer. It's not just about, I know Power BI. Power BI is not the only tools that you need to become. So the analytical engineer is more of like you know a bit of the back end and a bit of the front end. You are good with creating reports, but you also know how to migrate as well. Maybe you want to orchestrate, you want to create a pipeline, you'll be able to do, then you want to automate. Yes, the work of analytical engineer comes where you need to automate tasks. You understand? You need to make sure that, okay, they want to see a report by 2 p.m. That 2 p.m. the report is ready. It is more of like analytical work. The engineers have created the structure for you, but it is now left for you as an analytical engineer to automate the tasks to make sure that, and an engineer can to do that as well. But I think at the end of the analytical engineer does more of those work, automation, creating a pipeline and all. So, but I think if any other person understand the analytical engineer part very well, they can expatiate more on that. Okay, so Palumi, I think over to you. We have just 5 minutes left.
Okay, all right. Can you hear me, Florencio?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you very much. Everyone, let's appreciate Florencio for that session. I can see some people are already doing that in the chat. You can also do that with emoji. That was a great session. So let's appreciate Florencio. Let's appreciate Florencio. He really dished out a whole lot for us. Yeah, and then it was on his free time. Yeah, he's not collecting anything from us. This community work. So we want to say thank you very much for Lauren Shaw for that. So if there's any further question, we'll not be able to take question because just 4 minutes to the time. So we don't extend beyond 12 o'clock. So you can always ask in the community, that's the Fabric community, that was our WhatsApp group, or you can also reach out to Follow Shaw on LinkedIn. It would also answer, and it's also on the community platform. So if you drop your question, it will give answers to them. So also for the recording, we are going to upload. Yeah, after the session, we'll upload the recording on YouTube and also share it on the WhatsApp group so we can have we can watch it again to review all Follow Shaw talked about. So once again, thank you very much, Follow Shaw. I don't know if Francis has something to say before we go. I can see him on the call. Hi, Francis. Okay, I don't think Francis is
Yeah, I'm
here.
here. I didn't know
Okay,
I was.
okay. You have the floor now.
Yeah, good morning,
Just
everyone. Thank you so much for following. I really enjoyed your session. Thank you so much for taking out of your time to teach us Microsoft Fabric. Really appreciate it. And I think someone asked question around licensing and Fabric and Power BI. Yes, if you are using Fabric license, you also need to get Power BI license, especially if the Fabric license we are using is beyond F64 capacity. It's only when you have F64 capacity that Pro license is included. Other than that, if you are purchasing anything lower than F64 for your Fabric subscription, you then need to get a Pro license for people to consume your report. So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your time for taking time to come and attend this session because without you, there is no community. So we appreciate your call and well done also, Pelumi, for putting this together.
all right. Thank you very much, boss. So and everyone, let's do it to enjoy the rest of our weekend. Bye, everyone.